Robert Kiyosaki teaches us the uncommon truths about money that the schools neglected to teach us. Even though this book is 21 years old, it is still considered to be the #1 personal finance book. As the name suggests, Rich Dad Poor Dad is a story about Robert Kiyosaki, and he had two father figures growing up. He had his biological dad, who he calls his poor dad, and he also has his best friend's dad, who he calls his rich dad. His poor dad had a doctorate degree, while his rich dad never finished the 8th grade. His rich dad later became one of the richest men in Hawaii. It's almost like society teaches us to have the mindset of the poor dad. One major distinction I noticed in this book is the difference between poor and broke. Broke is the amount of money you have or don't have, and poor is a mindset that we'll be talking about through the rest of this video. The poor people say, well, I just can't afford it, while the rich people are taught to ask, how can I afford it? When you say, I can't afford it, your mind stops working. Your mind stops trying to figure out the problem. When you say, how can I afford it, your mind tries to figure out the problem. Our minds are probably the best problem-solving machines on the planet. The rich make money work for them, while the poor work for money. The rich also find ways to dodge the biggest expense, which is taxes. And I'll go ahead and give you the biggest secret of the rich in order to do this later on in the video. Robert Kiyosaki talks a great deal about increasing your financial IQ. Your financial IQ is divided up into 4 sections. Accounting, which is very left-brained. Investing, which is very right-brained. Market knowledge, essentially supply and demand. Understanding the different markets before you get into them. And the laws. All rules are malleable except for science and law. And if you have a high financial IQ, there are actually 5 things that can prevent you from accumulating wealth. Number 1 is fear. Robert says the biggest difference between the rich and the poor is how they manage fear. 2, cynicism. And 3, bad habits. I think the bad habits is probably the most important on this list. Your day-to-day activities become your life, and your life cannot change until your habits change. Number 4, arrogance. If you think you already know everything, you're not going to learn from anybody. You're not going to learn anything new. And number 5, laziness. Robert Kiyosaki actually gives a really cool and interesting cure for laziness. And he says the cure for laziness is actually greed. A lot of times we think of greed as being just like this pure evil emotion, like there's nothing good that could ever come from greed. But not all forms of greed are bad. You can actually use greed to help motivate you to get off your butt and go invest or do something smart with your money. Another earth-shattering idea from this book is that Robert Kiyosaki actually rebrands assets and liabilities. He makes it so much simpler. He says that an asset is anything that puts money into your pocket, while a liability is anything that takes money out of your pocket. It makes so much more sense. He gives 4 types of assets. The first being a business. Now, a business that doesn't require your presence, otherwise you just have a job. Number 2 is income-generating real estate, such as being a landlord or renting land to another business. And what's great about land is they're not making any more of it, Number 3 is paper assets, which is easily the most common. And paper assets include stocks and bonds. And one strategy that Robert Kiyosaki gives in this book about the stock market is to get in and out within a year. And the 4th and final asset is royalties. So like royalties to a song that you put on iTunes or something. Books, podcasts, soundtracks, for example. Another thing that Robert suggests doing, he suggests being an Indian giver. So when you invest in something, you're supposed to think to yourself, okay, how fast, how quickly can I get my money back? Because once you have your initial investment back, you just have that asset left over that just keeps generating you money. Another point that I think is huge is that opportunities come and opportunities go, because making quick decisions is a valuable life skill. With most opportunities in life, the window is only open for a certain amount of time before it slams shut again. So have all of your things in order so that you can jump on those opportunities when they present themselves. Life doesn't teach us by lecturing us. Life just teaches us by shoving us around. When life does push us around, there are three types of people. Number one, there are people that play it safe and just save all their money, just hoard it all up. Number two, there are people that push back against their loved ones. Did you know money is the number one cause of divorce in the United States? And number three, this is the type of person you want to be. These are the people that learn from life's lessons. I'll give you the secret to the rich here in a minute. But first, Robert Kiyosaki alludes to the three Japanese powers. The power of the sword, which is just valor. Number two is the power of the jewel, which is basically the golden rule. And I'm pretty sure you guys all know the golden rule, you know? He who has the gold makes the rules. And the most powerful power is the power of the mirror, the power of self-examination. If the problem is everybody else, you'll never get any better. But if you understand that the problem is you and you try to improve every situation, this is a great way to increase your financial IQ and to do better monetarily. Alright, so the biggest secret of the rich is corporations. Now, when people think of a corporation, they just think of a big building or just like a bunch of businesses all together. And that's not what a corporation is at all. A corporation is actually just a folder with a bunch of papers inside it. Now, corporations let you avoid paying taxes on money that comes in, and instead it lets you pay taxes on the money that you have left over, or your profit. And some parting thoughts from Robert Kiyosaki himself. Don't play it safe. Play it smart. So I urge you guys to go out and read Robert Kiyosaki's book. If you guys liked this book summary and would like to see other book summaries like it, go ahead and leave a like on this video and subscribe to my channel. If you subscribe to this channel, go ahead and turn on notifications. I don't know why YouTube is doing it this way, but when I post a video, it's not going to show up in your feed unless you turn on notifications. I don't understand it, but that's just how YouTube did it. So